The Netflix series Griselda takes some dramatic license with the story of a real-life drug queen. The creators have admitted as much. These are the moments in the series where entertainment overshadows history. Narcos, the gripping crime drama that traced the rise and fall of the Colombian drug kingpin Pablo Escobar, has come to be considered a true crime classic. Escobar was ruthless, but even he admitted there was a figure in the South American underworld that scared him, Griselda Blanco, a major drug trafficker who earned the nickname the Cocaine Godmother by establishing her own violent drug empire. Now, the award-winning team behind Narcos has come together to tell her story in a new Netflix limited series starring Sofia Vergara of Modern Family. Griselda is based on Blanco's true story and focuses on her most active criminal years in the late 1970s, when she made a fortune trafficking cocaine into the United States. She was also reportedly responsible for the deaths of more than 200 people.
She's accused of ordering dozens of murders.
As Escobar's family did after Narcos told his story without his overt permission, Blanco's family has attempted to sue the makers of Griselda for unauthorized use of her likeness. But Griselda is intended as a drama, not a documentary. Its creators have admitted to tampering with the timeline for the sake of entertainment, and altering or fabricating several elements of Blanco's story. As Griselda portrays Griselda Blanco as rising to the top of the cocaine trade in the 1970s, it also makes efforts to humanize her, drawing attention to the challenges and rampant sexism women had to contend with during the era. As such, the first episode of Griselda shows the protagonist being forced by her husband Alberto to sleep with her brother-in-law Fernando. Alberto believes that by gifting his wife, he will be able to absolve himself of the debt he owes his brother. Viewers come to understand that the stomach-churning scenario is only the latest in a string of challenges that Blanco has faced with grit and steel. She goes through with it, though she leaves Alberto in the aftermath. When he attempts to prevent her, she kills him and flees to Miami with a kilo of cocaine. The city becomes both her new home and the center of her drug trafficking operation. But the storyline involving Fernando was fabricated, and while it appears that Blanco is just making her first steps on the drug-dealing ladder when she attempts to find a buyer for her kilo of coke, the truth is that she was already a big deal before reaching Miami. Blanco had already been in the drug trade for a decade by the time she arrived in the city, and she reportedly killed Alberto after concluding that he had stolen millions of dollars from the business. Despite their relationship ending in bloodshed, Griselda portrays Alberto and Griselda as having 3 children, who are forced to flee with Blanco after her shootout with Alberto, in which she is injured. There's some question as to whether Blanco had her 3 children with Alberto, and there's a notable scene in the first episode where the children seem curiously unmoved by the revelation that their mother and father are to split. The truth is that Alberto wasn't Blanco's first husband, and the 3 children weren't his. Blanco had her eldest 3 sons, Dixon, Ozzy, and Uber, with her first husband, Carlos Trujillo, who perhaps for narrative reasons is not mentioned in Griselda at all. Blanco reportedly first met Trujillo when she was just 13, at which time she had already committed her first murder, that of a child hostage she and her friends had kidnapped in an attempt to extract a ransom from the child's wealthy family. Trujillo was a pimp and forger who later married Blanco, though they divorced. Like Alberto, Blanco had Trujillo killed over a business disagreement. You might think that the creators of a dramatic true crime series about a Colombian crime boss would take the real-life story and dial the violence up to 11. But in Griselda Blanco's case, it seems that they often decided that it would be in the interest of the show and the audience to dial it down. The show does make space for the man who would become central to Blanco's life after Alberto's death, Dario Sepulveda. Sepulveda himself was a violent hitman, and one major incident early in their relationship involved him shooting 3 men dead in a restaurant he and Blanco were dining in, to his new lover's approval. The two married in 1978. However, Griselda executive producer Eric Newman told USA Today that the scene didn't make the show's final cut.
She comes on screen, you're like, oh, I like her. I hope this all works out for her.
While the show suggests that Sepulveda reconnected with Blanco after her arrival in Miami, the two actually traveled there together. As with her 2 previous marriages, Griselda Blanco's relationship with Dario Sepulveda eventually broke down. By that time, the couple had welcomed a son into the world, who they named Michael Corleone after Al Pacino's character in the Godfather trilogy. Blanco had long been addicted to cocaine-derived substances, and as her power grew, so did her callousness and paranoia. Eventually, even the cold-blooded killer Sepulveda had enough and decided to leave Blanco in Miami and return with his son to Colombia, much to Blanco's dismay. Griselda suggests that Blanco allowed Sepulveda to escape with Michael, and the show continues to focus on Blanco as her empire crumbles around her. However, the show misses out on one vital detail from the true story. That like her previous 2 husbands, Sepulveda was killed at Blanco's request, reportedly in a drive-by as he sat in his car with Michael in the passenger seat. One of the most interesting secondary characters in Netflix's Griselda is Carla, an employee of Blanco's who also comes from Medellin. Carla follows Blanco unwaveringly into the drug trade and is particularly memorable for her one-liners, snappy dialogue, and oh-so-70s bangs. She's played by Carol G, a Grammy Award-winning Colombian reggaeton musician with a huge fan base across the globe. She was really born in Medellin and, according to Netflix, was instrumental in giving her character a distinctive voice based on the local dialect. Praising the character's narrative arc, Carol G told Billboard, "Carla is a character that evolves. She sees what she does as a job, but also as a way to maintain her family, and she's tough. She reaches another level." This is Carol G's first acting role, and her appearance in the show has surely helped spearhead the show's popularity. However, despite how compelling her character is on screen, Carla is a totally fictional creation, unlike most characters in Griselda.